All right, welcome back. In this video, we're going to be talking about essentially just a lack of gratitude and appreciation that so many other people in this country have. And I'm not saying that everything's perfect by any means. That's one thing that I think a lot of people would agree on is that we need to get so much better in so many different areas as far as equality involving social injustice and gender and so forth. There's definitely things where we can vastly improve. That being said, when you look at the sense of entitlement, the sense of woe is me and you have no idea about it, shut up. I'm honestly goodness, I am tired of listening to people who talk about their problems and talk about how so it's never been worse and so forth. And there are certain aspects of it. I would certainly say that in mental health, things have never been worse. But as far as the quality of life, as far as the vast majority of people, how we are treated, it is pretty pathetic on how people are constantly griping and putting people down because of their own pain or pain that they observe or think that they observe. My twin brother died for you. I guess that's kind of one of the things that just got under my skin over the last few weeks of watching all these riots and protests and so forth. Is what are you trying to accomplish? My brother died so that you could have the right to have your voice. And what are you doing? You're demanding things. You're saying that people have to be protesting with you or they're the problem. I've had enough of it. I'm not listening to people tell me that I'm part of the problem when my brother died for your sorry ass. It's sad. Um, I I'm done listening to how people think that there's somehow life just needs to be handed to people, talking about reparations and such. My grandfather was black. My ancestors were slaves. Don't belittle my family because somehow they don't look black enough to you. It's just the point where I have friends that I've had my entire life talking down to my sisters, telling them that they don't know what they're talking about because where we live or how old they are. And again, that's not an argument. Simply dismissing someone's opinion because of their age is not an argument. That's not a point of view. That's not an opinion. That's just belittling their opinion because you don't have an argument yourself. And so, yes, I've gotten to the point where I've realized that I need to be able to speak out for my family and for my friends and people that agree with me and they're from my side of the tracks when it comes to pain. Because I've witnessed a lot of pain. I've gone through a lot of pain. And it's just something where I understand the fact that we all have pain, and that's something that should never be forgotten. I don't think that, as I'm saying this, I don't think that people should forget, and I'm not trying to devalue the pain that people are talking about. But I am saying that there is this hierarchy of pain where people seem to think that a certain person's of pain based on their skin color, based on their gender, have suffered more than other people. And that is what we're trying to get away from. That is what we're trying to destroy, is that image that somehow certain people of color have more priority than others. That it's absurd. That is what we are trying to undo. That this, again, people will bring up this concept that, the 4th of July is only for white people because there were people that were free. But that is the premise that led us to the civil rights. That's what led us to freeing the slaves. That's what led us to equality for women. So again, it's just this lack of appreciation for people that risk their lives so that we could talk today about the sense of freedom and we could continue that path moving forward. Again, I just look back at the concept of how, the Civil War. The Civil War was the bloodiest war that the United States has ever fought in. And again, you look at the Union side who fought for freeing the slaves, that fought for keeping the country together, and they were doing it to free the slaves. The vast majority of the Union was white soldiers dying to free the black slaves in the South. So again, I don't understand where people say this country has never been great when, again, that seems pretty damn great to me to fight for people that didn't benefit you. You simply fought for the freedom of others. And again, too, that's the premise of the Revolutionary War. When you look at George Washington, he fought for the freedom of others. He was already excessively rich. The taxation on the colonies did absolutely nothing to his well-being. You look at the fact that he was a high-ranking officer in the British Army. Again, he faced treason. He would have been hung if they had lost the Revolutionary War. Again, he had nothing to personally gain. Why did he do it? Because he wanted to fight for the freedom of others. So again, you look at great men like Martin Luther King. Why did he die? He fought for the freedom of others. So to say this country has never been great is to deny all these great men and women what they've gotten us to thus far. And again, to see the lack of appreciation where people are throwing Molotov cocktails and burning businesses down. Businesses had absolutely nothing to do with injustices in our systems. Again, trying to defund the police and to not have police. And we've already had communities in our country where we know what that looks like. Think about the neighborhoods in this country where cops don't go because it's so dangerous. That's what you're asking for, but you're asking it for the nation. So again, we certainly should reform the police. There are certain areas where we might have to take more extreme actions, and I think it's disbanding and then rehiring, so that we can purge a lot of more corrupt, what do you call them, police stations and so forth. But to completely pull a 180 on our system because you feel that your pain isn't being heard is not the right way. The vast majority of situations involving the police doesn't have police brutality. So we shouldn't label every police officer as the problem. And the same Sunni is that just because a certain demographic of people of any race, of any color, of any gender and so forth, there's no group of people that we should label as the opposition, and yet we continue to do that. That's the one thing that's been consistent throughout our history of humans, is that we all have this sense of trying to figure out who the bad guys and who the good guys are based on their appearance, based on their religion. And that's the number one mistake that we keep making. And again, just to think that my brother died for all these people, to be causing problems in the streets, to be throwing Molotov cocktails at cops and at people and at their houses, those are the people that my brother died for. It's disgusting to think that my brother died for any of these people. It's disgusting to think that he willfully joined the military, joined the Marine Corps in a time of war because he knew that the country was under attack following September 11th. That's why my twin brother joined the Marine Corps, because he knew there were people in the world that wanted to cause Americans harm. And he put himself in between us and them willfully. And this is what you're doing with your gift of life. You're squandering it. You're taking other lives. It is ridiculous how people are acting. And yes, that's what's compelling me to change the direction of my channel and to apply talking about mental health, but talking about it in the aspect that I feel passionately about, and that I am not going to be trying to play the mediator as much. I'm going to be talking about my pain, the pain of others who have gone through what I've gone through, and discussing what's going on in this country, because it's utterly. I've always been so proud of my twin brother and what he did, and for so many years, even with debates ongoing on why the troops were actually sent, and people discussing it openly in front of my face that my brother died for oil and died for this and died for nothing. Even through all of that, I have not questioned his choices. What's going on in this country now? The squandering of the gifts that brave men like my brother and women like my brother that gave their lives for this country, gave lives for this freedom. More than ever, I wish I could go back in time and tell them, do not join. Do not die for these people. They don't deserve it. There are so many people in this country that do not deserve the sacrifice my brother gave. I hope that we can get united once again. I hope that people can realize how precious that gift is of life and what they need to do to actually invoke change, not simply be a little brat in a grocery store throwing a tantrum because you won't get the treat you want. It's disgusting how Americans are acting. And to me, it's just a perfect example of how amazing this country is that we can be so entitled and so privileged as a nation. Not one color that's privileged, all of us that are so privileged that we can just act like spoiled little brats, kicking and screaming and saying, no, more, me, me, me. I hope that we can once again united. But as always, good luck and good night.